8 activists sue Uganda police over brutality and human rights violations. 8 victims of police brutality have taken legal action against the government of Uganda and 10 police officers for violation of human rights, consisting of illegal arrests, detentions, and others. These 8 victims are part of over 192 human rights defenders, including youth, students, civil society organizations, oil-affected communities, and others involved in campaigns with efforts to promote human and environmental rights, who have continued to suffer various violations. These campaigns are aimed at fighting against risky oil activities such as the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, EACOP, and Tilenga Oil Project, the Hoima Refinery Oil Project, degradation of Bugoma Forest, Lakes Albert and Victoria, River Nile, Marction Falls National Park, and thousands of local communities whose land has been compulsorily acquired without fair compensation and or grabbed with impunity. The victims and other human rights defenders blame the government, and specifically police, resident district commissioners, the army, and some private companies, especially oil companies across the country, for violating their rights to own land, assemble, demonstrate peacefully, associate, move, etc. These officials harass, intimidate, arrest, and detain human rights activists with impunity. The following are some of the illegal arrests and detentions suffered by the above victims. On the 5th of October 2022, police arrested and illegally detained over 9 university students and youth for 6 days. These arrests happened during a peaceful march to the European Union offices in Kampala. Further, on the 9th of December 2022, police arrested and detained 3 EACOP activists for peacefully protesting against the human rights violations in Uganda. On the 24th of January 2023, police illegally arrested and detained human rights activists protesting against the impunity of police for more than 48 hours. On the 15th of September 2023, police arrested and detained 4 human rights activists as they marched peacefully to Parliament to deliver a petition requesting MPs to use their legislative and oversight powers to end fossil fuel investments in Uganda. On the 20th of November 2023, police arrested and illegally detained 6 human rights activists who were peacefully protesting against the Chinese government's plans to fund oil activities in Uganda for 3 days at Ginger Road Police Station. On the 24th of November 2023, police illegally arrested and detained 7 youth human rights activists peacefully petitioning the Ugandan Parliament to intervene and to stop police brutality against human and environmental defenders for over 20 days. On the 15th December 2023, 15 students were illegally arrested and detained for protesting against the police impunity in stopping the activities of civil society. On the 26th of June 2024, police illegally arrested and detained 30 human rights activists who were peacefully protesting at the Chinese embassy in Uganda, demanding the Chinese government should not fund activities that worsen climate change in Uganda. 3 cases filed in court. On July 3rd, 2024, 8 human rights defenders filed 3 separate cases at the Uganda High Court in Kampala against Mr. Chiriowa Chiwanuka, the Attorney General of Uganda, and 10 police officers, namely ASP Nsege Alex, Sergeant Okoth James, ASP Okoyo Martin, Twinamasiko Onesmus, Peace Private Constable number 74183 Wawire James, Private Police Constable Wandera Jacob Wire, ASP Nahamia David, Police Constable Okello, who is actually the head field police unit at Ginger Road Police Station, ASP Patrick Opio and OC Alex Michwe Mirunji, all in their private capacity. The activists who have sued include Bob Barije, Alphonse Nkuruziza, Vincent Lubega Samba, Gerard Wenani, David Musiri, Sanya Ivan, Elvis, Debo Sean Tevin, and Sekandi Eric. Human rights defenders who are plaintiffs in these matters seek the following remedies from court. 1. A declaration that the actions of the government and police violated their human rights enacted in the Constitution. The human rights defenders are seeking a court declaration that the actions of the government and police amounted to torture, brutality, inhuman, and degrading treatment contrary to Articles 24 and 44 of the 1995 Constitution. 2. A declaration that the actions of the government and police violated the right to assemble. Human rights defenders and youth activists are asking the court to declare the police's obstruction of their peaceful demonstrations was a direct violation of their rights to assemble, associate, and movement, and freedom of speech and expression as guaranteed by Articles 28 and 29 of the Constitution. The other prayer that is made is an order that the human rights defenders who are plaintiffs be entitled to compensation. The activists want the court to order, in line with Article 50 of the Constitution, that the victims of human rights violations are entitled to compensation for the violations suffered and the damages incurred. A permanent injunction is another prayer. They also want the court to issue a permanent injunction to halt all illegal actions of the police and the government to allow human rights defenders to do their work freely. The background of the incidents. Since the discovery of oil in 2006, many human rights defenders, if you like, climate defenders in Uganda have continued to suffer various human rights violations. Between 2021 and 2024 alone, over 192 human rights defenders or climate defenders, including civil society staff, students, youth, affected communities, and others have suffered gross human rights violations ranging from harassment, intimidation, arrests and detentions, unexplained office vandalism, office closure by the government through NGO bureau directives, and others. Mark a significant step by the citizens and climate defenders in stopping the shrinking space in Uganda. Legal redress will help all citizens to continue the struggle to promote human and environmental dignity in Uganda.
Human rights lawyer and one of the lawyers representing the activists in the 3 applications that have been filed at the High Court of Uganda, Civil Division. And I will emphasize that today is a landmark because the activists are making a statement to the world that police brutality, police arbitrary arrests, torture, cruel and inhuman, degrading treatment of the activists during peaceful process is unacceptable. And these matters, or these applications, were filed under the law that is called the Human Rights Enforcement Act of 2019. Under this law, a person whose rights have been violated, whose rights under the Constitution of Uganda have been violated, has a right to file or to prosecute anyone at an individual or personal level. And that's why these applications present a unique approach to the litigation that we have been having over the years in matters of human rights violations. And that's why we chose this to make a statement that the officers who are involved in the violations of human rights of these activists, whom I'm going to list down below, must account and must be held accountable and must be penalized for the gross human rights violations of the activists. One, Ginger Road Police Station and the DPC Patrick Opio, the OC Station Alex Michwemirungi, and Okero, the head of FFU, Field Force Commander. Those ones we have filed an application, and as I will be detailing below, several remedies. We are seeking several remedies against the three mentioned officers. And for Central Police Station, ASP Okoyo Martin, who was the DPC of Central Police Station Kampala, Twinamasko Onesimus, who was an officer based at Central Police Station, who was a key tormentor of some of the activists who were detained at Central Police Station, and Nahamia David, who was also at some point a police commander, the DPC of Central Police Station. We have an application against them, and as I will be detailing below, we are seeking several remedies against them personally. Three, the paramilitary police. And the paramilitary police, we have the OC station of the paramilitary police, and that is ASP Nsenge Alex and Sergeant Okoth James, who are involved actively in the arrest and torture of some of the activists. And we also filed this matter against the Attorney General of Uganda. Why? Because the Attorney General is responsible, is the head, is the legal representative of the government of Uganda. And all these officers are employees of the government of Uganda. That is not take away the fact that the liability we are seeking, or we are seeking to enforce against the mentioned officers, is in their personal capacity. What remedies are we seeking against these officers? One, we are seeking compensation. The activists want to be compensated for the gross human rights violations they have suffered at the hands of these officers. I would mention to you that one of the activists did not graduate. He was arrested towards exams, and by the time he was taken to court after 3-4 days, he pleaded, and he was never allowed to even be escorted to the university to complete his exams. And you can imagine the loss, the damage, because he could not graduate in time. And the officers will pay. The officers responsible will pay for this. We are seeking a permanent injunction. We want court to restrain these errant police officers from exercising their powers arbitrarily. We want a permanent injunction to restrain them. Then we are seeking declarations, and these declarations are the effect that we are inviting court to look through the conduct of these officers and declare the following. One, that the officers whom we have mentioned, by virtue of their conduct during these arrests and detentions, are no longer fit to put on our our uniform. They are no longer fit to hold the offices which they hold, and therefore should be not only be punished, but they should be penalized by being stripped of their ranks and be declared to be unfit to hold the offices which they hold. Number two, the officers must apologize to the activists, must apologize to Ugandans. Because when you brutalize one Ugandan, you have brutalized. You have humiliated not only this individual, but you have gone beyond the humiliation pervades to the rest of the society. Number three, we are seeking a declaration that police detention beyond 48 hours, which has been declared before, but we want it for emphasis. And soon we shall be taking out contempt because they are already court decisions declaring that detention beyond 48 hours is not only illegal, but is unconstitutional. So we are seeking a declaration to emphasize that a detention that goes beyond 48 hours under our constitution is illegal and unconstitutional. And then we are also seeking declarations that the conduct of the officers during the arrest, detention, violate the applicant's rights to freedom from torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. The act of stripping people naked, grabbing them as application, is the prevention and prohibition of torture.